Hey, so in this video we will be discussing how to create forms in Lawmatics. So these can be, usually they're intake forms, but for Lawmatics purposes they're called custom forms. And forms have a lot of great versatility in being able to collect accurate data from ensuring that certain automations trigger based off of what answers are selected on a form, or they can be used when in conjunction with your website so that people can complete the forms, and then Lawmatics can create new matters based off of somebody completing that form. They can also be used to book consultations or any sort of event types. So here I have the custom forms screen pulled up here in Lawmatics, and all it is just going underneath your assets and selecting custom forms, and that'll take you straight there. All right, here I have a few here that are already created, but we're going to start from scratch. So if we just create a new custom form, here we can add in a variety of different fields from over here. Standard fields are the ones that you can't really change. These are just things that already exist, like client names, etc. So we can click and drag them, and then once a field is dragged into the form, it disappears, and which is great, so that you know that you're not duplicating fields on accident, because some of these forms can get pretty in depth. Then we have our matter custom fields. So these are the ones that you typically create, and usually, a lot of times you'll create custom fields under account settings and go to custom fields, and you can create them here. But with custom forms, you can actually create the field right from here, because they know that as you create these fields, or as you create these forms, you come up with the fields that you want in here, and you don't want to constantly have to navigate over to your settings to create a field and then come back to the form. So you can just hit create new, and then you can create the field that you want, like maybe service type, for example. Okay, and you can say what type, and let's say pick list, and we can say estate planning or trust admin, whatever. And then you can set the field visibility. Now, the importance of the field visibility is how it shows up or doesn't show up on a matter screen. So you can have like a ton of custom fields, and sometimes it's just not important to necessarily have them viewable on your matter screen, and because sometimes we create these fields simply out of the purpose of just to trigger an automation, and you don't want it cluttering up the view of the matter. And I can show you what I mean by that by going back over here and picking a test client if I have any. Yeah. So if I go to my details screen, you can see how if you have like hundreds of custom fields being created, that this would get very cluttered very fast. All right, so that hidden option is a great tool to use whenever you don't want certain fields showing up on the matter screen. So again, I'm going to create my field service type, and then I want it to be a pick list, estate planning, or trust admin. And then I'm just going to set it to default so that it'll show on my screen. And I can find it over here, or I can search it up here and find fields. And there it disappears again. If you want to go back to viewing all the fields that you have an option, you just exit that and it takes you back here. All right. So another option is we have relationship blocks. So this is where if you want to add, let's see if I can click it. So relationship blocks. So I can create a new, and let's say I want a relationship block for the spouse. Okay, so here I do have to create a relationship type. So to do that, I do have to go back to account settings over here. So if I go to matters, I can create my new relationship types, spouse, and then go back to my custom form, and then relationship blocks, spouse. It's not showing up. If it's not showing up, sometimes it's just a matter of refreshing the page. And there it is, spouse. So when I first started building out in Lawmatics, that's something that drove me absolutely crazy. I couldn't figure out why my updated information wasn't showing up, and all it was just a matter of refreshing the page. So I create this new block, and here's where I can add in, bring in, the different fields that I want populate for this person. So I want their last name, and let's say their address, state, and zip. Okay. And then we also probably want their email. Okay. So things like that. And then we save that block. Save and close. And we go to relationship types, and we can pull this block now over into here. And there's all their information populated right there. You can also create just other blocks that aren't necessarily relationship based, so if there's a set of information that you want to collect and just bundle it up, you can do that by using this feature here. Otherwise, this is great for having additional relationship values, and this person will show up as a related contact on the matter once this form gets submitted. Now, another thing that you can use is a booking request. So if I click and drag this over to here, I can perhaps have this on the form for somebody to just go ahead and book an initial consultation. So it'll drag it, and then I can click it, and I can actually change what appointment type I want in there. So I only have initial consultation, so that's all that's available. Now, what's great too about using Lawmatics for their custom forms again is that ability to collect information and I mentioned before trigger certain automation. So let's say I have this service type, and based off of estate planning or trust admin, I can actually have an automation trigger based off of what service type is selected in this field. Okay, and I'll show you that in the automations. So if I go over to, and first I'm going to save this, automations, create new. So let's say somebody completes this form, and so on my entry condition is going to be filled a form, and it's this untitled one since I didn't give it a title, and I save it. I can add this logic condition, this add if condition here, or logic condition, match on fields, and then I search the field service type is equal to estate planning. Save. So now if it's estate planning is yes, then I can have a set of actions occur here. Maybe I send a different email out. Now if it's not estate planning, it's going to follow this branch over here. All right, and if you have multiple service areas, you just recreate this. If trust admin again, service type is equal to trust admin, save. I can have it follow this branch. So if yes, here I can have it follow a different set of actions. Okay? And then if you have another service type that you want an automation, a different action for, you just do this again, this if condition. Okay? So again, so when somebody fills out this form, if it's estate planning, it's going to follow this branch. If it's not estate planning, it's going to follow this branch down to this if condition. And if it's trust admin, it's going to continue on this branch. And if it's not, it's going to continue down on this one. All right. So that's a great way to utilize custom forms. Just make sure, and you're only afforded a certain number of automations. And so this is a great way to bundle up, like the if conditions is a great way to bundle up a bunch of automations under one without taking up too much of your allotment of automations. Okay? So that's kind of it for right now for custom field. For your custom forms. So feel free to reach out to me if you have any other questions.